Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Chairman. For Mr. Concho to begin with, and then I want to hear Dr. Merritt's opinion as well. In your experience, what would expedite consultation with states and tribes, and how much of this is ambiguity and how much of it is fundamental resourcing the offices that evaluate these projects? Mr. Concho.
Yes, thank you for your question there. I think, as I stated, that what works for Acoma is the Acoma model, which does force the project proponents to consult with the tribe and bring us in at an early stage. That way, we know exactly what's going on and how we can approach the projects together. And it has worked, and we have had very much success with that model. And so I think just involving the tribes and getting them, bringing us in early at an early stage really expedites and often in the long run saves costs.
Right. Dr. Merritt.
So I feel I'm very lucky to work in Utah because our governor and our legislature provide us the tools to do this efficiently. So always the knee-jerk answer is like more money, more staff. And in some cases, in some states and many tribes, that is very, very true. In Utah, that is not the case.
What's your overall budget in Utah?
So this is a good question. So we receive 60% of our budget from the National Park Service through the Historic Preservation Fund. So I'm sitting up here 60% federally funded. And so that's just a tad
What's the stateside piece?
So the state side is that 40% match. So it's about $1 million from the feds, and then $700,000 to $800,000 from the state. And so your question towards efficiencies, I think, again, it goes towards early and often. I think you're going to hear that a lot, is a lot of the projects we see in Utah that go sideways, if we had better integration very early on in the process, if the proponent had been told, like, this is an expectation, if the agencies talk to each other, I think all of those embed efficiencies in the system.
Say that last part one more time, because that's been my experience as to many of these big infrastructure projects. One of the fundamental challenges is when the agencies
don't integrate themselves and they don't
talk to each other early in the process. Absolutely. Mr. Concho, what's your budget again? Did you say $100,000?
Yes, a little over $100,000 is the appropriations that we receive.
And do you receive any federal funds as part of that?
We don't have. It's mostly just grants and then some if there is some tribal funding to supplement.
Okay, Dr. Merritt, I want to ask you if there are tools that we should be using that are underused widely in this process. And I'm thinking, because people made the analogy to NEPA. In NEPA, we have categorical exclusions, and those apply to things that are where the fact pattern is demonstrably the same over and over and over again. And so you analyze those as a basket rather than every single individual time. Are there tools like that within the National Historic Preservation Act that you think we should be utilizing more?
Thank you, Senator, for that one, because this is one I'm really passionate. My 13 years at the state, I have invested heavily in what we call programmatic agreements. So in the 800 regulations that implement Section 106, they give us the tool to create agreements that can make routine or even complex undertakings into an agreement document that you enter the sausage grinder and you know what you're going to end up with. Programmatic agreements have the ability to do what we call streamline, and that is putting those things in buckets or baskets or whatever analogy we'd like. And that allows us efficiencies in the system because not every single fence restringing project or every single USDA disbursement to a farmer for a crop replacement, that doesn't need to go through a full four-step process. And so we can use a programmatic agreement to say, analyze it at the agency level, do your tribal consultation, but we don't need to see the project at the state SHPO. You send that to us at the end of the year. And so that's where our caseload is probably higher than 1,500 because we put so many of those cases into large buckets.
Those buckets, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mr. Concho, given the history of our country, the history of your Pueblo, Why is it important for us to hear your perspective when we consider historic preservation issues?
Thank you for that question. Yes, it's very important that you hear the Pueblo's perspective, because from where I'm from, we have lived this life for almost 1,000 years. And I'm here as a TIPO in this capacity, basically because I love what I do, I love my job, and I do this for those folks yet to be born, to protect the area where I'm from. It's because it's been we have footsteps all over the Southwest, and we still continue to migrate and visit and touch these places like Mesa Verde, Chalco Canyon, and protect these places through song, through prayers. And also, often we go and visit these places still today. These places, people refer to them as ruins or abandoned, but they're not. We still go to these places. They're living places that still hold meaning to the Pueblo people. And this is kind of what where I come from the Southwest, from the Pueblo of Acoma, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the United States. And we're happy to be that way because we still continue to have our traditions as they were given to us for 1,000 years. And protecting all these places in between keeps our tradition alive, keeps our tradition growing.
It's a living cultural landscape.
Yes, sir,
Thank
it's living cultural.